Like they say, all good things must come to an end, even for the friendly locals of Canada. After years of an upward trend in prices boosted by liquidity brought about by the pandemic, Canada's real estate market is about to see its prosperity end and should brace itself for a housing crash. Canada saw its housing prices decrease for the first time in 3 years, and with higher interest rates on the horizon, a housing crash is pretty much inevitable for the country. But what exactly is a housing crash, and what does it mean for Canadians or anyone interested in the Canadian market? A housing crash is when there's a sudden drop in the prices of housing and real estate in general. Housing crashes can be linked to an economic recession or rising interest rates, which also affects the economy. At a glance, this looks like good news to potential home buyers, and it could be, but for many, this is the harsh reality for home and property owners. The grace period for potential home buyers is also very short, since after the crash, real estate prices shoot straight up right after. So all around, this is both a bad time and an opportunistic time for the Canadian real estate market. Canadian real estate prices fell for the first time since July of 2019. Yes, even before the pandemic. That was only 3 years ago, but it already felt like a lifetime ago. While prices for July of 2022 only fell by 0.27%, this might be the smallest dip we've seen in a series of bigger decreases in values for 2022 and beyond. Analysts all over the country and all over the world boldly predict that this downward trend will continue in bigger increments for the next 2 years. Most analysts predict that the Canadian real estate will slump by 7.8%, which will already be the biggest fall in Canada's real estate market since 2005, if it's realized. But a few property analysts go as far as saying that a double-digit fall as much as 18.2% is not out of the question. Currently, Canada's average home price stands at around $640,000 Canadian or $475,000 American, which is heavily influenced by sales in two main cities, Vancouver and Toronto. Let's explore these two Canadian hotbeds more in detail and figure out why they're so expensive. The average housing price of a single-family detached home in Toronto is over $1 million in Canadian or $750,000 American. Vancouver is even pricier, with the average home going for $1.15 million Canadian or $850,000 American. These two Canadian cities are part of the top 10 most expensive real estate markets in the world. Canadian real estate properties have reached astronomical heights due to many reasons. The quality of living in Canada has always been high, making it desirable for both locals and foreigners to settle in. However, Canada sees over 300,000 new immigrants every year, while only 280,000 homes are built each year. This number is already insufficient for the number of immigrants looking to live in Canada, but factoring locals who also wish to purchase properties will make the number of new properties even look more minute. This causes Canadian house prices to surge due to the lack of supply in contrast to the demand. While supply and demand is the number one reason why housing prices are expensive as it is in Canada, strict government regulation, foreign investment, and higher rates of urban living all contribute to the continuous uptick of Canadian housing prices. But every sort of bubble will sooner rather than later burst at one point or another, and for Canadians, this might be happening right now. Many of Canada's central banks, like the Banks of Canada, have increased interest rates, which also influence mortgage rates, causing owning and servicing a house to be more expensive every single day. And this is causing many people to sell their houses or other properties while also reducing the number of buyers at the same time. These rising interest rates also slow down the national economy by discouraging investments and spending in general, hurting a lot of the population's income, which then results in many people not being able to afford houses. This, in turn, causes sellers to list their houses and properties at a lower price. As interest rates increase, the cycle repeats and repeats until numbers hit a new low, much like what property analysts predict will happen. From 2022 to the middle of 2021, the Bank of Canada's interest rates were near zero. Right now, however, Bank of Canada's interest rate currently stands at 3.25%. Canada's inflation rate also ballooned from last year, almost doubling, as interest rates are currently 7.6% as of July of 2022. For the record, June of 22 was an all-time high for Canada, with interest rates reaching 8.1%. Because of all these increases, property owners are forced to sell at a lower, more affordable price at a competitive rate. Because many homeowners are jumping ship now at an undesirable time to purchase properties, prices continue to fall until rates will stabilize. For new and existing home buyers looking to test the waters, these rising interest rates could be both a blessing and a curse. A curse because of higher interest rates, but a blessing because home prices can finally come back down to earth. But where are these housing prices actually crashing? The housing crash in Canada isn't isolated in any single town or city, it's experienced by the entire country. But there are a few places that are getting hit worse than others. In other words, there are cities where home prices have big discounts right now. The Canadian Real Estate Association released a list in July of 2022 showing which cities were hit the worst by this housing crash. Do note that this is only the beginning of what could be a long period of housing price decreases, so the list could change at any time. Toronto and Vancouver are obvious cities that are hit by this housing crash since they have the most to lose in terms of value. Vancouver's average home prices have had a decrease of $60,000 Canadian from its peak, while Toronto's average home prices saw a decrease of $178,000 Canadian. And while these home prices are already a huge drop, they are not the biggest victim of the housing crash. Oakville, a town in Ontario, went from having an average home price of $1,645,000 Canadian in its peak to $1.290 Canadian in July of 2022. That's a difference of $355,000 Canadian, or a 22% decrease. And Oakville isn't the only town hit by a 22% decrease, as Cambridge and Kitchener, two cities also in Ontario, saw a 22% decrease in housing prices as well. Now, other parts of Canada hit the hardest by the housing crash include London, St. Thomas, who saw a decrease of 20%. Woodstock, Canada also had a 17% drop. Additionally, Mississauga, Fraser Valley, Victoria have also seen substantial price drops, and you should definitely keep this on your watch list in the next 12 to 18 months. After a housing market officially crashes, a period of aggressive price increases is likely to be expected, often termed as a bubble, wherein activities like speculative buying or setting of low interest rates push up housing prices to an upward trajectory. We don't know how long this housing crash is going to occur in Canada, but once it does, there will be a ton of opportunities and there's going to be a quick upward trajectory after the housing crash happens. Also, once interest rates are lowered to a stable rate, homeowners who held out would want to increase their property's values immediately, thus surging their prices. And I don't blame them. If you're faced with years of decreasing values for something you own, the moment you get a glimpse of an opportunity to increase prices, you're going to take it. However, a housing bubble is a different problem of its own, and if it remains unchecked, this could be Canada's next real estate problem after this current one. Buyers and sellers should always have their eyes peeled on just the contracting real estate market, as home prices in these areas are finally loosening up while interest rates continue to go up. After years on the upward trajectory, Canada's real estate market is slowly but surely seeing signs of crashing down, with many expecting that 2023 would spell a bad year for real estate in the country. The lack of supply for an ever-decreasing demand of real estate properties causing housing prices to balloon, but the increasing rates caused many homeowners to foreclose their properties due to the ever-growing expense of owning a home. And still, for those who are looking to purchase a home, this time of uncertainty can actually be an opportunity to snag a property at a low price. Canada's real estate market will remain fickle for the next year or so keep an eye out for prices, whether you're a homeowner or a prospective buyer. And for more up-to-date information on real estate and identifying your next big opportunity, please be sure to like this video and subscribe to my channel. The recession is coming and we're here to give you the best information out there. I'll see you on the next one.